Welcome to Whisper Tales, where whispers of pain, survival, and resilience echo through the stories we share. Today, we journey into the raw emotions behind 4 deeply personal Reddit stories about divorce and relationships that have unraveled. Each of these individuals fought battles behind closed doors, and through their stories, we see the strength it takes to survive, let go, and move forward. If you're going through something similar, remember, there is always hope on the other side. Let's dive into today's stories. Our first story comes from a woman who faced the unthinkable. Her marriage was one of fear, violence, and emotional turmoil. She had faced her husband's explosive anger before. He had a history of throwing objects, from laptops to phones, food to furniture. Each time he lost control, the walls of their home became a battleground. But this time, the rage was directed at her. His hands flew erratically toward her face and neck, and she found herself cornered in the kitchen, fear gripping every muscle in her body. It was the realization that she was in real danger. Later that day, she sought help, calling a domestic violence hotline, desperately hoping for a way out. But instead of support, she was turned away, told she earned too much money to qualify for assistance. Alone in a country far from her family, her options felt painfully limited. In that moment of helplessness, her survival instincts kicked in. She grabbed a small carry-on bag, packed only the essentials, and left her home. No goodbye, no explanation. She drove straight to the airport and got on the first flight out. It was an impulsive decision, but one that would save her life. This story is a reminder of the silent suffering so many endure behind closed doors, and the systemic barriers that can make it even harder to escape. If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, keep seeking help. Even when doors close, there is always a way out. Our second story delves into a different kind of heartbreak. A woman's struggle not with her ex-husband, but with her own mother. Divorced and remarried, she had moved on from her mentally abusive ex-husband. But one person hadn't: her mother. Despite the emotional damage her ex caused, her mother refused to cut ties with him, still treating him as if he were her son. For years, her mother continued to support her ex-husband, giving him money, buying him alcohol, and even inviting him to family gatherings to which she was never invited. Imagine the pain, seeing your mother embrace the person who caused you so much hurt, while rejecting you, her own child. Time and again, she asked her mother to respect her boundaries, to stop maintaining a relationship with the man who had gaslit and abused her for years. But each time, her mother refused. Once her mother even screamed, "You can't tell me what to do!" In the end, the emotional toll was too great. After years of fighting, she made the heartbreaking decision to cut off contact with her mother, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. Sometimes, we have to let go of those who refuse to see our pain, even when they're family. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away from the very people who should be protecting you. Our third story follows a woman who feels utterly trapped, living in a marriage where she carries the weight of the world on her shoulders. For 9 years, she's been with the same man. Married for 6, they live in his parents' basement, raising their 2 kids. While he works part-time, she manages the house, the children, and all of the responsibilities that come with being a mother. From cooking and cleaning to mowing the lawn and taking the kids to doctor's appointments, she does it all. The financial strain has weighed heavily on their marriage. His parents cover nearly every expense, from food to diapers. He even relies on them to fund his cigarette habit. And while she's been pleading with him to take on a full-time job to ease the burden, his response is always the same: "When you go back to work, we'll be fine." She feels invisible, undervalued, and utterly alone. When she tries to talk about it, he gets defensive, accusing her of being a bad mother. Her parents offer no support, and she's left feeling like she has to hold it together for her children, despite the overwhelming resentment that has built up. This story highlights a common theme many face in marriage: an imbalance in responsibility. Staying silent about your struggles only deepens the divide. Our final story is about a woman who has spent years in a relationship that's become more of a prison than a partnership. She met her partner when she was just 18. He was 32. They got pregnant almost immediately, but what followed was not the life she had envisioned. Instead, she found herself trapped in a relationship with a man who didn't meet her emotional, physical, or mental needs. The physical intimacy between them was always lacking. He suffers from erectile dysfunction and poor hygiene, which made their intimate moments uncomfortable, repetitive, and at times unbearable. She spent nearly 2 years suffering from UTIs due to his poor hygiene. After countless doctor's visits, they finally discovered the issue was caused by poop particles on him, the result of his lack of cleanliness. She got him antibacterial soap, which helped, but the damage had already been done. Despite the physical issues, it's the emotional disconnection that's left her feeling completely trapped. He's immature, distant, and spends hours on his phone reading manga instead of engaging in real conversations with her. She feels like she's living with a stranger, someone who she's no longer attracted to, someone who doesn't act like a partner, and someone who feels more like a burden than a spouse. It's a story of regret, disappointment, and feeling stuck. Her partner doesn't try to fix things, and she feels it may be too late for her to find happiness in this relationship. Many people stay in these situations, hoping for change. But sometimes the hardest truth to face is that the love is gone, and it's not coming back. These stories are just a glimpse into the complex realities of marriage, relationships, and divorce. They remind us that behind every broken relationship is a person struggling with feelings of fear, abandonment, resentment,